The book of the prophet Ezekiel, chapter 1. Now it came to pass in the 30th year, in the 4th month, in the 5th day of the month, as I was among the captives by the river of Chebar, that the heavens were opened, and I saw visions of God. In the 5th day of the month, which was the 5th year of King Jehoiakim's captivity, the word of the Lord came expressly unto Ezekiel the priest, the son of Buzi, in the land of the Chaldeans by the river Chebar, and the hand of the Lord was there upon him. And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud, and a fire infolding itself. And a brightness was about it, and out of the midst thereof, as the color of amber out of the midst of the fire. Also out of the midst thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures, and it was their appearance. They had the likeness of a man. And every one had 4 faces, and every one had 4 wings. Their feet were straight feet, and the sole of their feet was like the sole of a calf's foot, and they sparkled like the color of burnished brass. And they had the hands of a man under their wing, on their 4 sides, and they 4 had their faces and their wings. Their wings were joined one to another, they turned not when they went every one straight forward. As for the likeness of their faces, they 4 had the face of a man, and the face of a lion on the right side, and they 4 had the face of an ox on the left side, and they 4 had the face of an eagle. Thus were their faces. And their wings were stretched upward. 2 wings of every one were joined one to another, and 2 covered their bodies. And they went every one straight forward, whither the Spirit was to go. They went, and they turned not when they went. As for the likeness of the living creatures, their appearance was like burning coals of fire, and like the appearance of lamps. It went up and down among the living creatures, and the fire was bright, and out of the fire went forth lightning. And the living creatures ran and returned as the appearance of a flash of lightning. Now, as I beheld the living creatures, behold, one wheel upon the earth by the living creatures, with its 4 faces. The appearance of the wheels and their work was like unto the color of a beryl, and they 4 had one likeness. And their appearance and their work was as it were a wheel in the middle of a wheel. And they went upon their 4 sides, and they turned not when they went. As for their rings, they were so high that they were dreadful, and their rings were full of eyes round about them 4. And when the living creatures went, the wheels went by them, and when the living creatures were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up. Whithersoever the Spirit was to go, they went. Thither was their spirit to go, and the wheels were lifted up over against them, for the spirit of the living creature was in the wheels. When those went, these went. And when those stood, these stood. And when those were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up over against them. For the spirit of the living creature was in the wheels. And the likeness of the firmament was upon the heads of the living creature, was as the color of the terrible crystal, stretched forth over their heads above. And under the firmament were their wings straight, the one toward the other. Every one had 2 which covered on this side, and every one had 2 which covered on that side their bodies. And when they went, I heard the noise of their wings like a noise of great waters, as the voice of the Almighty, the voice of speech, as the noise of an host. When they stood, they let down their wings. And there was a voice from the firmament that was over their heads, when they stood and had let down their wings. And above the firmament that was over their heads was the likeness of a throne, as the appearance of a sapphire stone. And upon the likeness of the throne was the likeness as the appearance of a man above it. And I saw as the color of amber, as the appearance of fire round about it, from the appearance of his loins even upward, and from the appearance of his loins even downward. I saw as it were the appearance of fire, and it had the brightness round about. As the appearance of the bow that is in the cloud in the sky of rain, so was the appearance of the brightness round about. This was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of the Lord. And when I saw it, I fell on my face, and I heard a voice of one that spake. Ezekiel was among the very first of the people that were taken into captivity by Nebuchadnezzar, which means that his family was considered to be influential people in Jerusalem, in Judah. And at the time that Ezekiel was working with the dispersed people, Jeremiah was working with the people in Judah and Jerusalem. He was a prophet there. And Daniel was a prophet in Babylon itself. Jeremiah was dealing with the dispersed people who lived outside of Babylon, who were someplace else. Says he was one day while he was by the river Chebar, and we don't know for sure that the river that we know of today as River Chebar is the right one. Could be a different name, but if it's the same one, it starts in far eastern Turkey and is a tributary to the Euphrates River in Iran or Iraq, whatever. And but most of the year it's just a dry valley with sand in the bottom. It's a seasonal river only. Ezekiel in Hebrew means God is strong or God will strengthen, which is a really good name. His mother's name was Buzi, B-U-Z-I, and he comes from a family where his father was a priest of the family of Zadok, who was the high priest at one point in time. It talks about that in 2 Kings chapter 24, verses 14 to 16, if I recall. And in the vision he uses, as all prophets have to, because they're having an experience that is beyond mortal expression, mortal experience. And so there's a lot of symbols, there's a lot of comparisons, there's a lot of figurative language to try and explain something that you can see. A very inspired man once said that if you could gaze into heaven for 5 minutes, you learn more than you would by reading all the books ever written about it. And that's a fact. You know, I've had somebody say, well, you should be able to do this. But if your language doesn't have any words for things, you know, that's it. It's hard to explain. I mean, we're looking at 3,000 years almost difference between Ezekiel's time and our time. And we're having difficulty going just with the language, let alone with what he saw. How'd you like to go back about 500 years and try to explain a DVD player and TV to somebody who lived 500 years ago? You couldn't. You got no common experience on which to make sense, so that it just doesn't work out that well. Now, in verse 6, the wings represent power to move and to act as they are instructed. Verse 7, burnished brass, and straight. Straight means perfectly upright. S-T-R-A-I-G-H-T. Doesn't mean horizontal straight, it means perfectly upright. And burnished brass, nothing, virtually nothing, gives a brighter shine or greater reflection or more luster than burnished brass. And in Hebrew, burnished brass, well actually not in Hebrew, in English, the burnished brass is often translated as amber. So, those are all symbols of power, might, beauty. We have absolutely no idea. Nobody has any idea at this point in time what's meant by the wheels. The wings, let's see. The wings being all joined together means that they are they're doing everything in an organized, traveling as a unit. They do everything together. So they're all as part of a joined plan. In verses 26 to 28, we see that God on his throne above the animals. And that means he's in charge. He has glory, majesty over the beasts, over the men, all the rest of it. You can take a look in Isaiah chapter 6, verses 1 through 5 for that one. Revelations chapter 1, verses 10 through 18. And Revelations chapter 4, verse 2 to 11. That's a really good one because the language in Revelations is very similar to the language in Ezekiel here. The words cloud, fire, brightness, color of amber, all those sorts of things are basically used to describe God's power and majesty and beauty. You take a look at that in Exodus chapter, I think 13 or 19, verses 21 to 22. One of those, that the cloud of God over on Mount Sinai. There is a huge amount of symbolism in this, but as near as I can figure out, this is what is important. It isn't the faces, but we'll deal with the faces. The lion is symbolic of all the wild animals, the ox of all the domestic animals, the eagle of all the birds, things that fly, and man is the preferred, it has dominion over all of the animals. But above men and all the animals is the throne of God. Ezekiel sees the throne of God as above them all, which means God's in total charge. I think that's what the vision basically means.